In scientific nomenclature, a synonym is a scientific name that applies to a taxon that goes by a different scientific name, although zoologists use the term somewhat differently. For example, Linnaeus was the first to give a scientific name to the Norway spruce, which he called Pinus abies. This name is no longer in use. It is now a synonym of the current scientific name, which is Pisher abies. Unlike synonyms in other contexts, in taxonomy a synonym is not interchangeable with the name of which it is a synonym. In taxonomy, synonyms are not equals, but have a different status. A synonym is always the synonym of a different scientific name and cannot exist in isolation. Given that the correct name of a taxon depends on the taxonomic viewpoint used, a name that is one taxonomist's synonym may be another taxonomist's correct name. Synonyms may arise whenever the same taxon is described and named more than once, independently. General usage. To the general user of scientific names, in fields such as agriculture, horticulture, ecology, general science, etc., a synonym is a name that was previously used as the correct scientific name but which has been displaced by another scientific name, which is now regarded as correct. Thus, Oxford Dictionaries Online defines the term as a taxonomic name which has the same application as another, especially one which has been superseded and is no longer valid, in handbooks and general texts. It is useful to have synonyms mentioned as such after the current scientific name, so as to avoid confusion. For example, if the much-advertised name change should go through and the scientific name of the fruit fly were changed to Sophophora melanogaster, it would be very helpful if any mention of this name was accompanied by, or to give another example, a mention of the name Apatosaurus is much helped by the addition. Synonyms used in this way may not always meet the strict definitions of the term synonym in the formal rules of nomenclature which govern scientific names. Changes of scientific name have two causes. They may be taxonomic or nomenclatural. A name change may be caused by changes in the circumscription, position or rank of a taxon, representing a change in taxonomic, scientific insight. A name change may be due to purely nomenclatural reasons, that is, based on the rules of nomenclature, as for example when an older name is discovered which has priority over the current name. Speaking in general, name changes for nomenclatural reasons have become less frequent over time as the rules of nomenclature allow for names to be conserved, so as to promote stability of scientific names. Zoology. In zoological nomenclature, codified in the International Code of Zoological Nomenclature, synonyms are different scientific names of the same rank that pertain to the same taxon, for example two names for the same species. The earliest such name is called the senior synonym, while the later name is the junior synonym. One basic principle of zoological nomenclature is that the earliest correctly published name, the senior synonym, takes precedence and must be used for the taxon, if no other restrictions interfere. Synonyms are important because if the earliest name cannot be used, then the next available junior synonym must be used for the taxon. Adjective synonyms refer to taxa with the same type and same rank. This may be species group taxa of the same rank with the same type specimen, genus group taxa of the same rank with the same type species, or if their type species are themselves objective synonyms, of family group taxa with the same type genus, etc. In the case of subjective synonyms there is no such shared type, so the synonymy is open to taxonomic judgment, meaning that there is room for debate. One researcher might consider the two types to refer to one and the same taxon, another might consider them to belong to different taxa. For example, John Edward Gray published the name Antilocupa antiflexa in 1855 for a species of pronghorn, based on a pair of horns. However, it is now commonly accepted that his specimen was an unusual individual of the species Antilope americana, published by George Ord in 1815. Ord's name thus takes precedence, with Antilope antiflexa being a junior subjective synonym. Objective synonyms are common at the level of genera, because for various reasons two genera may contain the same type species. These are objective synonyms. In many cases, researchers established new generic names because they thought this was necessary or did not know that others had previously established another genus for the same group of species. An example is the genus Pomatia Beck, 1837, which was established for a group of terrestrial snails containing as its type species the Burgundy or Roman snail Helix pomatia, since Helix pomatia was already the type species for the genus Helix linnaeus. 1758, the genus Pomatia was an objective synonym. At the same occasion, Helix is also a synonym of Pomatia, but it is older and so it has precedence. At the species level, subjective synonyms are common because of an unexpectedly large range of variation in a species, or simple ignorance about an earlier description, may lead a biologist to describe a newly discovered specimen as a new species. A common reason for objective synonyms at this level is the creation of a replacement name. It is possible for a junior synonym to be given precedence over a senior synonym, primarily when the senior name has not been used since 1899, and the junior name is in common use. The older name may be declared to be a nomen oblitum, and the junior name declared a nomen protectum. This rule exists primarily to prevent the confusion that would result if a well-known name, with a large accompanying body of literature, were to be replaced by a completely unfamiliar name. An example is the European land snail Petacina edentiola. In 2002, researchers found that an older name Helix depilata drapano, 1801, referred to the same species, but this name had never been used after 1899 and was fixed as a nomen oblitum under this rule by Faulkner et al. 2002. Such a reversal of precedence is also possible if the senior synonym was established after 1900, but only if the International Commission on Zoological Nomenclature approves an application. For example, the scientific name of the red imported fire ant, Solenopsis invicta, was published by Buren in 1972. Who did not know that this species was first named Solenopsis savissima wagneri by Sanchi in 1916, as there were thousands of publications using the name invicta before anyone discovered the synonymy. The ICZN, in 2001, ruled that invicta would be given precedence over Wagneri. To qualify as a synonym in zoology, a name must be properly published in accordance with the rules. Manuscript names and names that were mentioned without any description are not considered as synonyms in zoological nomenclature. Botany. In botanical nomenclature, a synonym is a name that is not correct for the circumscription, position, and rank of the taxon as considered in the particular botanical publication. It is always a synonym of the correct scientific name, but which name is correct depends on the taxonomic opinion of the author. In botany, the various kinds of synonyms are homotypic, or nomenclatural. Synonyms have the same type and the same taxonomic rank. The Linnean name Pinus abies L. has the same type as Piscia abies H. cast. When Piscia is taken to be the correct genus for this species, Pinus abies is a homotypic synonym of Piscia abies. However, if the species were considered to belong to Pinus, the relationship would be reversed and Piscia abies would become a homotypic synonym of Pinus abies. A homotypic synonym need not share an epithet or name with the correct name. What matters is that it shares the type. For example, the name Taraxacum officinale for a species of dandelion has the same type as Leontodon taraxacum L. The latter is a homotypic synonym of Taraxacum officinale fh wig. Heterotypic, or taxonomic, synonyms have different types. Some botanists split the common dandelion into many, quite restricted species. The name of each such species has its own type. When the common dandelion is regarded as including all those small species, the names of all those species are heterotypic synonyms of Taraxacum officinae and Ralf Wig. Reducing a taxon to a heterotypic synonym is termed to sink in synonymy, or as synonym. In botany, although a synonym must be a formally accepted scientific name, a listing of synonyms, a synonymy, often contains designations that for some reason did not make it as a formal name, such as manuscript names, or even misidentifications. Comparison between zoology and botany. Although the basic principles are fairly similar, the treatment of synonyms in botanical nomenclature differs in detail and terminology from zoological nomenclature, where the correct name is included among synonyms, although as first among equals it is the senior synonym. Synonyms in botany are comparable to junior synonyms in zoology. The homotypic or nomenclatural synonyms in botany are comparable to objective synonyms in zoology. The heterotypic or taxonomic synonyms in botany are comparable to subjective synonyms in zoology. Synonym lists. Scientific papers may include lists of taxa, synonymizing existing taxa and listing references to them. The status of a synonym may be indicated by symbols, as for instance in a system proposed for use in paleontology by Rudolf Richter. In that system, AV before the year would indicate that the authors have inspected the original material, that they take on the responsibility for the act of synonymizing the taxa. Other usage. The traditional concept of synonymy is often expanded in taxonomic literature to include pro-party synonyms. These are caused by splits and circumscriptional changes. They are usually indicated by the abbreviation pp. For example, when Dandy described Gallium tricornutum, he cited G. tricorn-Stokes pro-party as a synonym, but explicitly excluded the type of G. tricorn from the new species G. tricornutum. Thus G. tricorn was subdivided. The Angiosperm phylogeny group's summary of plant classification states that family Verbanaceae are much reduced compared to a decade or so ago, and many genera have been placed in Lamiaceae, but Avicennia, which was once included in Verbanaceae, has been moved to Acanthaceae. Thus, it could be said that Verbanaceae pro-party is a synonym of Acanthaceae, and Verbanaceae pro-party is also a synonym of Lamiaceae. However, this terminology is rarely used because it is clearer to reserve the term pro-party for situations that divide a taxon that includes the type from one that does not. Bibliography. Blackwelder, R.A. Taxonomy. A Text and Reference Book, New York. Wiley, ISBN 978-0-471-07800-5. Dubois. Synonymize and related lists in zoology. General proposals, with examples in Herpetology. G. Morelia 4. 33-98. International Commission on Zoological Nomenclature, International Code of Zoological Nomenclature. The International Trust for Zoological Nomenclature, ISBN 978-0-85301-0067, retrieved 21 October 2011. J. McNeill, R. Barry, M. Burdett and V. Demoulin, ed. International Code of Botanical Nomenclature adopted by the 17th International Botanical Congress, Vienna, Austria, July 2005, Vienna. International Association for Plant Taxonomy, retrieved 20 February 2011 as of October 2011. Update. The latest version is not yet online, so references are to the earlier Vienna Code.